Hi, and welcome to this latest video. Today, I'm not talking about legal issues, but talking about well-being and our physical and mental well-being, which is so important at this time. And today I want to talk about the benefits of yoga, mindfulness and breathing, and how these practices can be beneficial for us. And I'm joined today by Katy Insley. Katy's a yoga teacher, and if you've not seen the fantastic 20-minute sequence video that she's done for this channel, do check it out, and I'll link it from this video. So Katy, thank you for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So thanks very much for asking me to join you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to film that video for you as well. I'm glad it's been popular. So a little bit about me. So I'm a yoga teacher, and I've been teaching yoga for coming up to about 2.5 years. I teach quite a variety of classes, so as well as teaching in yoga studios and online classes at the moment, I actually teach in workplaces. So I go out to companies, of course, pre-coronavirus, and hopefully getting back to that at some point in the next few weeks. I go out to companies and teach employees actually in their place of work, and also teach individuals as well. So I do one-to-one classes, again, on site in my students' homes in Birmingham, and a couple of those are online as well.
That's fantastic, Katy. And Katy must be a good teacher, because if she can teach a short Welsh barrister with tight hamstrings, she can teach yoga. So, Katy, tell us about your journey to becoming a yoga teacher and what led you there.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, that kind of goes back quite a while, actually. I started practicing yoga just over 9 years ago. I had never had any experience of yoga before. Basically, I used to run. So I worked in recruitment for 13 years of my life, 13 years of my career. And the only form of exercise that I'd ever done really was running. Used to run home from work on a very, very regular basis and go out for longer runs of a weekend. And I started to suffer with a knee injury, which was getting progressively worse and worse. And so I had to stop running. And a friend of mine who was very into hot yoga said, "Why don't you give hot yoga a try?" So I did. Hot yoga, for those of you who aren't aware, is yoga but practiced in a very, very hot room. So it's good for helping to become a little bit more flexible more quickly. So I started doing hot yoga and actually never went back to running. Hot yoga gave me everything that running did, and then a little bit more as well. So I still got the level of fitness that I was getting from running from hot yoga. I also found that it was really helping me to build flexibility, helping me to build strength. But then more than that as well, I started to notice that it was actually really helping me from a mental health perspective. So because I worked in a very stressful, very high pressure role, I found that yoga was enabling me to just kind of have a place to switch off. I would go to a yoga class most nights after work. And it would help me just, relieve that kind of general anxiety, that general stress that I used to have about my job. But also help me to better cope with stressful situations in the workplace, which was a massive surprise and something that I hadn't really realised that would be possible to do. And it was because of that journey that I eventually, after a few years, decided that I perhaps would one day like to become a yoga teacher. Thought about it for a few years, and then eventually just got around to booking my yoga teacher training. And the rest, as they say, is history. After about a year after I qualified, I decided to give up my full-time job and move into teaching yoga full-time, which is what I've been doing for the last 18 months.
No, that's great, and you may inspire some career changes for people out there now. In terms of, you've sort of hinted at it, but what are the sort of issues you find people coming to yoga with? So people like lawyers, busy professionals, people who are very stressed out. What sort of issues do people come to yoga with?
So there can be a variety really, but probably the two main ones, the two main reasons that people tell me that they're looking to start yoga, and a lot of the people that I teach are professionals. They work in the city centre, they work in really, really stressful, high pressure jobs in a range of different industries. And probably the two main reasons that people tell me that they're wanting to start yoga is either because they want a place where they can unwind and just take their focus off their stressful jobs or their anxiety. A lot of people even come to yoga to help relieve depression. The other angle is more of a physical angle. So it might be that someone has an injury that they're looking to recover from, or very often with people who work in a range of professions where you have to sit down for a long period of time, people can develop back pain, they can develop tightness and tension across the neck, the shoulders, they can develop pain in the hips. And it might be that they've been to a physio, or they've been to their GP, or a friend's just said to them, look, try yoga. So that they tend to be the main two reasons, really.
No, absolutely. For me, it's that space to wind down, and also back pain probably caused by hunching and sitting over. And I wanted to ask you about that. You started to look at those. What are the benefits, particularly of a yoga practice for those who work in a high pressure environment, often hunched over computers? And I suppose recording this in the summer of 2020, we've done that so much more in the last 3 months. We're hunched over Zoom calls a lot of the day, and there's that different type of stress and tiredness.
Yeah, exactly. And again, so you're looking at it, you know, yoga can really help with those two different areas. So on the one hand, you've got the sort of mental benefits. And in a yoga class, I mean, you know yourself, because you now practice yoga very regularly, a big focus in any yoga class is on the breath. So we very much endeavour to try to move with the breath. We try to breathe deeply as we inhale. We try to exhale slowly. And just that focus itself on the breath alone can really help to relieve stress and anxiety. It helps to focus your mind on the present moment, on the task in hand, which is moving and breathing. And that automatically just means that whatever's been playing on your mind throughout that day or that week just disappears. It just goes, and it might only be for an hour, but it helps, you know, just that period of being able to switch off helps drop your stress levels, relieve that anxiety, just helps to start kind of calm you down and just feel a kind of overwhelming sense of calmness, really. And then the other side of it is for those, you know, those of you who are spending a lot of time sat down, you know, when you're sat at a computer, your shoulders are forward, your posture is generally pretty bad. So yoga will help to open up all of those areas that feel tight. So it's great for, you know, opening up the chest, the shoulders, the hips, lengthening the spine, lengthening the hamstrings, and helping you as well to be a little bit more aware of your posture. So as the more experience that you get in yoga, the more aware you become of how you're sitting. So when you are sitting at your desk, at your computer, you'll start to notice, actually, am I sitting up straight? Is my core engaged? Am I pulling my shoulders back? And you'll start to sit a little bit more upright rather than hunched over and shoulders forward. And it's worth saying as well at this point, actually, I think a lot of people have a perception that yoga is for super fit or super bendy people. It's really not. You don't have to be at all flexible or at all bendy to start yoga. That is something, you know, that's a part of what people start yoga for. It is to become more flexible, it's to become stronger, it's to become more mindful of the breath. So you don't have to have any of those things to actually start your practice, as I'm sure you well know as well, having started that journey yourself.
Absolutely. You certainly don't have to be that. And I think sometimes there's that preconception, isn't it, of what you have to be like. But actually to see those physical benefits and to notice yourself, you know, sort of checking yourself and tucking your tailbone in and standing up more straight and improving your posture as being great. And also to see those practices, being able to focus on your breath and calm yourself down, it has been really beneficial. And certainly I ain't the most flexible person in the world at all. So yeah, no, that's great. And in terms of the other thing we hear a lot about today is in terms of mindfulness practices. I know 90% of us has probably downloaded various apps to our phones or breath work practices. What are the benefits of those sort of practices, and what are have you got any mindfulness or breathing practices you've introduced to or encouraged people to use?
Yeah, I mean, I think mindfulness, there are obviously a number of kind of very, very structured and very kind of formalized mindfulness techniques and breathing techniques, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Like you say, there are a number of apps out there, so probably Calm and Headspace are probably the two biggest ones, and most people will have one of those on their phone. They are fantastic apps because yes, you can buy a premium service, which opens up much more, many more kind of meditation practices and breathing practices for you. But just the basic free apps, I think you can get, some really good kind of basic breathing techniques from those. And there's more and more of those as mental health is becoming such a big thing in the workplace and outside of it as well. There are more and more businesses that are launching tools and techniques that can help people with that. And mindfulness and breathing are two of the best things to kind of help, just like I said, coming back to yoga, just to be able to kind of help you, calm yourself, to relieve stress, to relieve anxiety. So that's definitely, if people can download, if they haven't already, if they can download one of those apps, then that's definitely a very, very good thing to do. But if they don't have that, if they don't have the ability to do that, just something as simple as just sitting with your eyes closed, setting a nice gentle alarm for 2 or 3 minutes, just closing your eyes and just focusing on your breath. So not even trying to change it in any way, just noticing the flow of air coming in through your nose and out through your nose, maybe just trying to slow it down, and then just seeing how you feel after 2 or 3 minutes of doing that. And the chances are your heart rate will have dropped, your blood pressure will have dropped, and you will feel a kind of sense of calm just from sitting still and focusing on your breath and nothing else. So it really can be that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated at all.
That's really helpful to have these simple, doable practices. And as I think as we go through 2020 and sort of come out of lockdown, I think we need to focus now on our mental well-being, because I think people have really taken a battering, especially professionals in that area over the last 3-4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of practical steps, you've given us one there, Katy. What are some other just little practical things we can bring into our day? Now, of course, I encourage people to check out your 20-minute video, implement that, perhaps book a class, but just in terms of little practices they could bring into their day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, the most simple thing that you can probably do, if you are the type of person, and I used to be like this when I worked in recruitment, I would get stuck into a task and I would suddenly look at the clock and realise I literally haven't moved for 2 hours. I've been sat at my desk typing or doing whatever, or been on the phone, and it had been 2 hours since I got up and moved. And that's not healthy. So what I would encourage people to do is, if you are prone to sitting for very long periods of time, set an alarm on your phone for every 30 minutes. And every time that alarm goes off, do one of 3 things. Either sit, close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes. Or even if you don't want to do 2 minutes, you could just count 10, 12, maybe 15 breaths. That's it. And then carry on with what you're doing. Option number 2, stand up and stretch. So you don't have to be a yoga practitioner to stretch. If you're feeling tight in the shoulders, even just a couple of, just a few shoulder rolls, reaching your arms up, stretching from side to side, bringing your hands behind you, anything to help you just feel a little bit more open. So just kind of take a few moments to recognize where you're feeling tight and stretched open at those areas. And then the third option is get up and go for a walk. So whether that is literally just to the kitchen, or if you are able to, leave your office and walk around the block, and then come back to your desk. So that's probably the most practical things that I can suggest. Just literally set an alarm every 30 minutes and do one of those 3 things every time that alarm goes off.
That'd be great if people, as a result of this video, start to implement that and set those alarms, and perhaps implement those stretch breaks, those breathing breaks, those walking breaks, really as a chance to reset both physically and mentally throughout the day. That's fantastic.
And they'll probably only need to set an alarm for a few days, because after a while it will become habit. They'll just start to naturally think, oh, right, okay, I need to get up and move. I need to get up and walk around. I need a little stretch. So that's probably only a short-term exercise to get them to a point where it starts to become habit.
And if people want to take up a yoga practice and start that, what are some of the services that you offer? How can people reach out to you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, okay, so I'm assuming you're going to put the my contact details in the notes for the conversation, so people can obviously get in touch with me to ask me whatever they want to ask via LinkedIn, via my email, or via Instagram. But the services that I offer are, well, there's quite a few really. I teach a number of classes for studios which are currently online. We'll be going back to in-person classes over the course of the next few weeks. So of course, when they go to in-person classes, they're really only relevant to people in Birmingham. But for now, people can access my classes online, and they don't have to be a member of the yoga studios where I teach. So by all means, I'll send you the details, and you can pop them into the notes of the conversation as well, so people can see the schedule and where I'm teaching. If people work for businesses that have a big vested interest in employee wellness and well-being, then they can contact me to have a chat about corporate yoga classes. Again, if they're in Birmingham, I can come to their office hopefully at some point in the not too distant future to teach people directly there. If they're outside of Birmingham, then I can do online sessions, and they can be, you know, as regular or as irregular as people want. So I have clients that engage me for weekly regular sessions. I have clients where I just do a one-off session once a month. I have clients where it's fortnightly. So I can really kind of work to what people are looking for. Likewise, if there are any individuals watching who are interested in starting yoga but would perhaps like a slightly more kind of tailored one-to-one approach to begin with, then that's something I offer as well. Again, in Birmingham, and online for people who are not in Birmingham. So they're just some of the things that I can offer, but people can get in touch, and you know, I can really kind of tailor my requirements to what people tailor my offerings to what people are looking for, really.
That's great. And what I'll do is I'll put those links in the description below so people can get in touch and see what fits for them. Katy, thank you so much. I love the fact that we've given people practical, doable, simple tips. They don't have to go out and shop Lululemon and get all that sort of stuff. Introduce those simple tips to their day, which will make a real difference to them, especially at this time. So thank you so much for joining me, Katy. That's great.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me, Arden. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.